Ryan Poles.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Has talked about blue players, right? The guys that he grades as special. And there's a guy in this draft that a lot of the experts say is one of the 3 best players in the draft when you don't factor in positional value. And, of course, you have to factor in positional value.
Oh, you do now, do you?
But Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, this running back out of Texas, this 21-year-old running back, the Doak Walker Award winner, unanimous All-American, is apparently very, very special.
3-down back, lion's share of the touches at Texas the last 2 years. Great pass catcher, great pass blocker, not small. Believe that he actually could handle the workload of being a 3-down back, and crazy fast. He has been comped to Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
So my question for you is
no.
Okay.
Now go ahead, ask it.
No, I am a no also, but in the prism of how Ryan Poles has talked about this, I think it is very likely that Bijan Robinson is a blue player.
So the blue player, if he says he's got 7 total blue players, including the quarterbacks, in this NFL draft, very likely, I agree, that Bijan Robinson is one of the blue players.
Right? But I personally don't think when you don't have a 3 technique, you don't have a tackle, at least a right tackle, and maybe 2 tackles, and you don't have an edge rusher, and you need multiple edge rushers, I don't think you could draft Saquon Barkley at 9.
I don't think you can either. I think that there's a lot of lessons that we've learned which are now accepted wisdom in terms of the value at the position, the fungibility. God, I love that word, and this is always the right place to use it, of that position. And you can look back at so many different ways to measure the success, you know? Obviously, paying the running back is even worse than drafting the running back, because you can look at spending all the money for Zeke Elliott and what the Cowboys did and how it damages you and everything like that. But the value of cheap labor as you are building a roster where you are likely to have to sign Justin Fields to an extension at the end of next year and have the math start to matter that way. Or you're likely maybe also to need more in free agency next year and sign a lot of people. This player is whoever they get in the first round on a rookie deal needs to be at a cornerstone position, in my opinion, where you're maximizing the value of that cheap asset in a draftee.
Yeah, so a texter says something similar in terms of like, you can draft a running back in the first round, you just can't pay a running back after their rookie contract. I think that you can draft a running back in the first round at the very end of the first round because the contract is even cheaper, and in the first round, you still get the 5th-year option on the guy, so you can have him for 5 years instead of 4. We've seen some teams. Sony Michel was drafted to the Patriots. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was drafted to the Chiefs. Didn't necessarily work out, but like last pick in the first round going to a running back because they're a great team and you still get a 5th-year option on them.
It's funny when you talk about it, it's like 5 is more than 4, like 7 is more than 6 in terms of Chris Bryant. Yes, you could keep them for 5 years, but it also extends when you need to make the decision on keeping them. So it's another year of control.
Yeah, so I think that I do think that Bijan Robinson will be drafted in the first round. I don't think the Bears have the luxury to do it, but I do think that it is an exercise that they will be going through because so call it devil's advocate for a moment. What do we know? We know that they led the league in rushing last year. We know that Luke Getsy loves to run the ball. We know that they don't want Justin Fields to run as much as he did last year. So we also know that they just need weapons. They need elite players. You can pass to a running back, and that is part of your passing game. So, like, if I told you that this guy was Saquon Barkley, you're a no. I think I'm a no. But what if I told you he's Christian McCaffrey? Like if I said to you, this guy is going to be the best dual threat running back that we've seen in the NFL in 15 years, since Marshall Faulk, and he's an absolute touchdown machine in the red zone, and for the most part, stays crazy healthy. At 9, if I told you he's Christian McCaffrey, you still passing?
I'm still passing. I get because I really do believe that the positional value has become very, very obvious. I mean, like you can go look at the history of the leading rusher on Super Bowl winning teams over the past 15 years. It's crazy. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is the leading rusher. That's a 7th round rookie.
Yep.
Sony Michel is the leading rusher for the Rams the year before. Then it's Leonard Fournette on his second different team at a cheap salary with Tampa. It's Damian Williams with the Chiefs. It's Sony Michel again with the Patriots. And I know that's a rookie, and that is a first-round rookie.
Yep.
But still, then it's LeGarrette Blount, C.J. Anderson of the Broncos, LeGarrette Blount again, Percy Harvin is most highly paid on this entire list. But Ray Rice, Ahmad Bradshaw, James Starks, Pierre Thomas, these are the leading rushers on Super Bowl teams since 2009. It's not how it's done anymore. As much as I value it and respect it, it's not how it's done anymore.
Yeah, and I don't really value it that much. And I don't
value the wrong word that I'm trying to use there. Yeah, respect it, enjoy it.
Yeah, and it sucks for running backs that they don't get paid as much and they get discarded and all of that. And judging it by teams who've won the Super Bowl is tricky because Derrick Henry has been the entirety of an offense on a team that's won playoff games multiple times.
Yes.
Alvin Kamara has been in big games. Dalvin Cook has been in big games. Highly paid running backs have been in playoff games and played well. Recently. And so is Christian McCaffrey. By the way, I mean, Christian McCaffrey was on the Niners last year. They traded for him, and they easily, they had a quarterback who couldn't throw, or else who knows how that game goes with the Niners in the
yeah.
They were in the NFC Championship game, and they had an expensive running back who they traded for.
I got to tell you, that really rattled me a little bit. I saw the McCaffrey trade, and I was like, wow, really? And then I watched them with McCaffrey, and I was like, oh, he was such a perfect fit for what they do, and they used him in so many ways. I was like, he makes that roster, that system with that coach that much better.
Right.
Wow. Holy hell. So that's the one that makes me pause the most.
It should. And by the way, the Bears could conceptually try to copy that type of thing. They've got arguably the most special running quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They have some offensive linemen who are better run blockers than pass blockers. And you were the number 1 rushing team in the NFL last year. I wouldn't want them to do that, but you could do it. You could say that Velus Jones, you think that he can be your Debo, and you think that and that Fields was what Trey Lance was supposed to be for them, and Lamar Jackson and all that, and now Bijan Robinson would be your Christian McCaffrey. I don't think they're gonna do it. I think that offensive lineman is the favorite and should be the favorite for that pick, and then I would say corner or defensive lineman. The Witherspoon kid from Illinois today ran a 4.42.
Saw that.
So that means he can fly. That means he's a top 10 pick.
Coming to a future polls position near you.
Yeah, absolutely.
A dive on a couple of corners.
Yeah.
Who could do it. But it's just the value of that asset is so heavy, man. It's it reminds me of when the Nationals lost Bryce Harper, but won the World Series the next year because they had Juan Soto, who slid in making less than $1 million.
Right.
And they had all this big money in Scherzer and Strasburg and Rendon and all these pieces because you had that cheap labor. And as we've come to understand the NFL and the salary cap and how it works, I love the idea of getting it right on the offensive line or defensive line or corner here in round number 1. After you spent money at some other positions in free agency, because then you've got this asset so cheap at such an important position.
Yeah, I think that's right. These are my patented thought exercises, but I do think that he's a blue player. I don't think that they're going to have the shot at a lot of blue players.
Yeah.
And I think the comps suggest that he's really, really special. I'll be floored if he isn't a first-round pick. And it might be to a team that's more of a luxury. He might go to the Chargers to replace Austin Eckler. He might go to the Eagles, who have 2 first-round picks.
Correct.
And a great, you know what I mean? He might go to a team like that. So I don't think it's the Bears, but he is special.
It could be that is a target that somebody trades up with you for. It could be that you are sitting there at 9.
Crazy.
You're sitting there at 9 at Bijan Robinson, and somebody gets excited to move even just from like 12 to 9 because somebody's going to take him at 11 or something like that. So you recoup. Because I'll tell you what I think he wants, and I know what I want. I need a second-round pick in that top 50. Like
That's
somewhere
where people say the sweet spot is, and they've got the big gap between 39 and 61.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct. So somewhere in there, another pick in there, then you're looking at, man, if you could do that. So I would trade down 3 or 4 spots, to get yourself an extra pick in there. Imagine if you could take, like, say, instead of Skoronski, you take Paris Johnson, or you decide it's Darnell Wright from Tennessee, or the one Broderick Jones we talked about from Georgia yesterday. You decide that one of those guys are just as good as Skoronski or whoever you think you're going to take to play right tackle at 9. You trade down and you still get that tackle that you place in that you like, and you get that extra pick, and maybe you grab the center. You grab John Michael Schmitz, Jingleheimer from Minnesota. You grab whoever that is, or you get yourself a wide receiver or whatever. Just that extra pick in the high to mid-second is a dream.
I think that is something that he will obviously look to do and continue to trade down. I think you need to hit on this first-round pick, and I think you need a difference maker. Like we talk about with the Cubs, they don't have a lot of star potential. The Bears still don't have a lot of star potential. Further you trade down, the tougher it is to get true difference-making guys. Now, football's obviously the ultimate sport of depth because of how much attrition. So it is a numbers game. So I would bet on them making the selection personally. But obviously I'd be okay with it, and it puts even more pressure on him to be right with where he picks it. Let me ask you one more question about Robinson.
Please.
We know that they are not going to call it this, right? They called Edmonds the Mike and Edwards the Will.
Yeah.
So they are labeling the position. But the moves suggested an understanding of somewhat positionless football. They are
2 linebackers who can both cover and fade back in coverage and also attack when need be.
They're not necessarily there to be the tackling machines. They're there to be coverage guys because it's a coverage league. It's a passing league. What if they think that Bijan Robinson is 70 catches a year? Like, what if they think it is, I said Christian McCaffrey, obviously Marshall Faulk's a Hall of Famer, but like, what if they think that he is one of, like, that he would split out a bunch, and he could have some Cooper Kupp like efficiency out of the slot, like that. Yeah, he's a running back, but he's a running back in like a way where you feel like you're cheating it in fantasy football because he's labeled running back, but the guy runs pass routes on 65% of plays, or you know what I mean? Like that to me, it would be forward thinking in an interesting sort of way that they need weapons, and they've upgraded it with DJ Moore.
Hey, man, they just paid linebackers. Maybe they're going to surprise us and value a running back.
That's what I'm saying. I can't. No, they added Deontay Foreman and Homer. Like they
well, that's the other thing.
A couple of free agents at running back already on the roster.
Right.
Another draft pick, a high draft pick for it.
With Khalil Herbert already there.
Would very much surprise me. I don't think it is going to happen. I'd put it at less than 5%. But I do think that they are going to be considering it as they go through this process because there's just not that many blue players in the draft. And I think he is one.